Hi, everyone, and welcome to the May session of the Transportation Lean Forum. We're glad to have you all here with us today. And let me go ahead and turn it over to Gary Bansuch to introduce the session further. Thank you.
In on our 9th anniversary in June for the Transportation Lean Forum. A few of you have been with us for that entire ride. We're recording from our March 2021 session where we had wonderful sessions from the Indiana Department of Transportation in Washington State. And we have a wonderful set of folks today, and we'll archive today's session in the same location. All right. I do ask you to please mute your phone or microphone. Just like in any teleconference, it makes it clear for other folks to hear the key presenters. There will be plenty of time to unmute to ask questions to our presenters. If for some reason you cannot unmute when you ask your question, we'll be glad to read those for you in the chat pane. And by the way, if you do run into any kind of technology challenges, please do feel free to chat to Jacob or Victoria, our two wonderful interns who are serving as producers today. Thanks again, folks. Or send them an email. It's jacob.desalvo@state.co.us or victoriafarberov@state.co.us. We'll also put that information in the chat pane for everybody. We have a wonderful set of sessions today. We have, starting off with the Illinois Department of Central Management Services, talking about rapid results across the land of Lincoln. We have a terrific session from the government of Saskatchewan about some of the things that they're doing in the Prairie Province there. And then from the Wolverine State, a wonderful session from the Michigan DOT also. Then we'll have a time for asking each of our presenters questions after their session, and also an open forum to ask additional questions, but also to bring up anything that's on your mind. Again, this is a community supporting each other for the home team. I know not everybody roots for the Rockies, but root for your colleagues that are on the call today. And please ask any question that you want to, or by the way, also brag about your successes. Remember, your success on things that you're working on right now might be somebody else's challenges right now, and they can learn from your successes. Then we'll have some announcements about some things coming up, and we'll close out the session. We do have Transportation Lean Forum members from across the world. We're trying out something today, and I encourage you to try this. One of our intrepid interns, Kelly, stumbled on the wonderful app called Mural. If you turn off your VPN, and we put the mural in the meeting invitation. We'll put that in the chat pane too. Ask you to drop a pin for where you are located, and then just a quick sticky note on the other side of the mural board to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what Department of Transportation you're coming from. So Victoria is sharing her screen. You can actually see live. Bridget, thanks, is dropping a pin right now on the board. Victoria and Kelly have loaded the other side of the board with these wonderful things to make you hungry. And we're asking you to put a sticky note with your name and a little bit about yourself. I see that Julie's already done that. Beth from Pennsylvania too. Good to have you on board, Beth. So I encourage you to do that. And just sometime, because we do have some wonderful presentations. I want to get to those right now. So Victoria, if you can go back to our main slide deck. And it's my great honor to introduce John Berenselli. John and I go back a long ways, all the way to our days back in the American Society for Quality, ASQ. John right now is running rapid results for the land of Lincoln there in Illinois, in the Department of Central Management Services. So John, we're gonna let you share and take it away, please.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Gary. I'll repeat a little bit of it. My name is John Berenselli. I am Deputy Director of the Illinois Department of Central Management Services, and I'm the Chief Administrator of the Illinois Rapid Results Program. The question you might have is, well, why are we hearing from a representative of the Department of Central Management Services at the Transportation Lean Forum? I mean, after all, this is a transportation forum, correct? Well, in response, I'd advise you that I actually spent the first 25 years of my career working for the Illinois Department of Transportation. And on top of that, I'm a second generation IDOT employee, something I'm very proud of. My father worked for the Department of Transportation for 35 years. And I actually set foot, I'm not kidding, I set foot on my first construction project when I was 5 years old. So I spent a lot of time at the Department of Transportation in Illinois. I graduated from college in 90. God, that's a long time ago, 1990. I went to work there and I worked up through management. And as I did, I observed something that was really puzzling to me. What I observed was whenever there was a major problem or performance issue in the organization, IDOT management did something weird. They would go outside the organization, they would procure a consultant to come in the organization, observe what's going on, and then provide their recommendations for solution. And I saw that done dozens of times, and I can't remember a single instance where it ever actually worked. And I found that puzzling because the Department of Transportation in Illinois was full of technical people, many of them engineers who are problem solvers by their very nature. Why on earth would you spend millions of dollars to bring a consultant in from the outside when you have problem solvers who are experts in the organization right there? And I swore at that time that if I ever had the opportunity, I would find a way to engage with the people in the organization. That led me to lean process improvement, which I discovered about 15 years ago. I became evangelized and I began talking about the need to do this. And I worked hard to convince agency management to embrace lean, and I failed time and time again. And as luck would have it, a new administration was elected in 2015, and they were operations focused. One of the first things they started talking about is the need to embrace lean process improvement. Some of the IDOT executives went to the governor's office and heard that, and they said to themselves, is that what Berenselli has been talking about for years, lean? So they came back to IDOT. They got me engaged with the governor's office. I got engaged with the Lean Process Improvement Initiative. And they asked me to establish a statewide office to implement this kind of system. On May 1st of 2016, we established the Office of Rapid Results in the Illinois Department of Central Management Services, and it has been an absolute blast ever since. So that leads to, we got to answer that really obvious question here. What is Rapid Results? Well, Rapid Results is a program that uses proven principles of operational excellence and continuous improvement to evaluate and improve Illinois state government services. That's our elevator speech. That's what we throw out all the time. But to you, I would say it's something very familiar to many of you. It's team-based problem solving. It's engaging with those experts that I talked about in the organization, people actually doing the work to figure out how to solve problems. It's about making the work visible. Government processes, as many of you know, are just really complicated, and you really can't understand them until you see them. And so we're about making the work visible. And most importantly, we're about maximizing customer value. I often get the question, well, is Rapid Results about making government more efficient? And I say, no, that's not it at all. Yes, we work to remove waste, but the idea about removing waste is to allow our employees more time to deliver value to the customer. Efficiency is just a side benefit. So it's really about maximizing customer value. What I would say to you, the important takeaway is it's familiar tools that you know about in lean and operational excellence, but we packaged it in such a way that we believe works exceptionally well within the state of Illinois. So in that way, it's our own proprietary way of doing lean process improvement. At the heart of it are what we call the principles of rapid results. And we spend a lot of time pulling these together, figuring out what works and what doesn't work in the state of Illinois by working hand in hand with those experts, with the people doing the work. So I'll explain this diagram right now. In the center of it, in kind of a tau symbol, showing these two concepts interlock, are respect for people and continuous improvement. And this is the heart of what we do. Respect for people is respect for people doing the work, leveraging their creativity, their input, their knowledge about the process, the work, in order to find ways to continually improve. And so to us, these two concepts are linked together. You cannot separate them. You cannot get continuous improvement without respect for people. The next concentric circle is go to the Gemba. And most of you know what it is. For those of you who are not aware, Gemba is a Japanese word to translate to English as the real place, or where the truth may be found. And what we tell people in order to practice this is don't try to solve problems in your office. Don't try to solve problems in conference rooms. That's counterproductive. Get out of your office, get out of the conference room, go to where the work is happening, where the problem actually occurred, so you can see for yourself and really understand what's happening. And when you're there, look for waste, because we want to identify, analyze, and eliminate waste so we can spend more time on the customer. Of these three aspects, we have found the identification to be the most difficult part. Once people see the waste, then it just drives them crazy. They will do whatever they can to analyze and eliminate it. But seeing it is so difficult in government agencies, because we come in, we're trained on how things are, and then it just is the way we do work. So what we really strive to do is give people new eyes, new ways of looking at things so they can see the waste. And once they see it, we find it's an easy process to eliminate it. Finally, the last circle are a continuous improvement goal. They are to make things easier, better, faster, and cheaper in that order. And that's a very important distinction. We always start first to try to figure out how to make work easier. Why? Because it's so complicated and so difficult to get anything done in state government. I talked to a colleague the other day in Central Management Services. We talked about the process for renewing a lease in the Property Management Division. It takes 87 steps to renew a lease. It's so hard to get anything done here. So we really concentrate first on making things easier for people. And what we find is you can make it easier for people. It gives them time, some downtime to think. And I believe amazing things happen when people have the time to think. They tap into that creativity and that amazing brain of them, and they find ways to do things better, faster, and cheaper. They naturally follow. It's all about making things easier. Our approach is A3 problem solving. Those of you that are not aware, A3 is the international designation for 11 by 17 paper. And the idea behind the A3 problem solving is a problem solving methodology that is simple and can be summarized on a single sheet of paper. Our particular iteration of A3 problem solving, one that we custom designed for rapid results, consists of 6 steps. Very simple, but very powerful. It's the standardized way to tackle process problems and solve them. It starts with a problem statement. It moves to determination of current state. It moves on to analysis of current state, desired future state, action plan, and follow-up. Very simple, but very powerful. And I'll explain each one of those steps in detail in subsequent slides. We start first with problem statement, defining the problem and creating a robust problem statement is the most important part of this 6-step model. We spend a lot of time here. We teach our employees that a properly constructed problem statement answers 3 very important questions. Question number 1, what is the desired level of performance? Question number 2, what is the current level of performance? And question number 3, what is the gap between desired and current performance? And closing that gap is the project. And we find really zeroing in on this really focuses the efforts and creativity of the team in solving the problem. It's not easy to get there. Sometimes it takes us a long time to figure out what the problem is. But once we do, we can move lightning fast through the rest of the model. The next step is determination of current state. And this is where we map out the value stream of the process. In early days, we did a lot of Post-it notes, just like this, but we'd map it out on the wall. Now with the pandemic, we have moved to more virtual maps, but the concept is the same, to take that process, get it out of the minds of the people who are doing the work and actually get it out to where everybody can see it. And I have not found an instance yet where the process that we get mapped out matches what's in people's heads. It's always way more complicated than they think it is. And that is the first real step in understanding the process. After that, we move to analysis of current state. We look at every step in the process and we classify it into one of 3 categories. Either the step is value added, meaning it adds value to the customer. It is business value added, meaning that it's required. Does not add value to the customer, but it's required by statute, by policy, by administrative rule. And then the third category is non-value added or waste, meaning it does not provide value to the customer and is not required. We find very little green in most processes, quite a bit of orange, but a sea of red. And that's really where we concentrate. We concentrate on the non-value added. We then move to desired future state. We remove as much waste as we can from the process, understanding we can't remove it all, but we get rid of as much non-value added as possible. We minimize business value added wherever we can, and we seek to maximize the customer or the value added to the customer steps. We do all of that and create a new process that is streamlined and works more effectively. We then move to the action plan, which is step-by-step plan of attack on how we're going to realize that desired future state. And then the last step is simple, not easy, but it's simple. It's following up to ensure those action items are implemented, and more importantly, that the solution actually works. If it doesn't, we go back to the beginning, define the problem, and start all over again. And that is the 6-step problem-solving model. It's very simple, but it's very, very powerful, and provide for us a standardized way to utilize the principles of rapid results in order to tackle problems using the creativity of the people actually doing the work. One last piece that I want to put in front of you, and these are our boundary conditions. We established these way back in 2016 at the very beginning, and they continue to govern every single rapid results project that has been launched to date. The first boundary condition is no one will lose their job. No one will lose their job as the result of a rapid results project. It's not about streamlining in order to eliminate people. We have a promise that we give people that if labor hours are saved, if we can do a process with less manpower, we move the freed up capacity to other areas of the organization that need it. And we have been true to that promise. Tons of projects completed, nobody has lost their job. No additional money is needed or will be provided. We give people no money for their rapid result project. We call this creativity over capital. Focus on creativity first, using people's minds rather than spending money. No IT redesigns or new systems. We teach people to optimize the process first. Digitizing a bad process will actually make things worse. So optimize the process first. And once it's optimized, we do encourage people to go to the IT folks and let them work their magic. But that's not us. We're about optimizing the current process. And finally, the last piece is no statutory or administrative rule changes. We force people to work within the current framework of statutes and administrative rules. If somebody identifies a fix to statute or an administrative rule change that will have a big impact, we certainly park that in a parking lot, and then we give it to our legislative liaison and let them try to get it done. But they do that outside of the project. We have people work within the constraints of the current process. And rather than serving as obstacles, we have found this is empowering because people realize they have a lot more power to change the process and make improvement than they ever realized. And it works exceptionally well. How well? Well, we've seen some amazing progress over the past 5 years. Over the last 5 years, with a tiny little office, we have trained more than 2,700 employees across the state of Illinois. They have launched more than 1,700 rapid results projects, saving the state annualized, these are annualized numbers, every year, more than $34 million, and it continues to grow, and saving and redeploying more than 875,000 labor hours on an annualized basis. It really is amazing what the employees of the state of Illinois have accomplished with this program. And I want to go to the Illinois Department of Corrections to really show you an agency that has really done an amazing job with a unique approach. They have, over the course of 5 years, launched more than 843 rapid results projects. That's almost half of our total statewide project. $5.3 million in annualized cost savings have been realized, and more than 320,000 labor hours saved and redeployed. But behind those numbers are people, and that's what I want to focus on. On the left-hand side here, your left is Kim Smith. Next to her is Brittany Lamsargis. Next to Brittany Lamsargis is Brittany Schroeder. We call them the two Brittany's. And then next to Brittany Schroeder is Bob Bowen, who was Chief of Staff for many years at the Department of Corrections. These are the champions within the Department of Corrections that got the program off the ground. And I want to talk about one particular project because I really think it illustrates the importance of our approach and our principles. Kim Smith on your left at the time was warden of the Taylorville Correctional Facility. And Kim observed what she thought was a problem. And here's the problem. When inmates at correctional facilities in Illinois leave the facility in order to re-enter society, they were issued gray sweatsuits that the Department of Corrections purchased for this very purpose. And folks, these sweatsuits are warm, but they are not flattering in any way, and they are hideous in terms of fashion. Anybody walking around with these gray sweatsuits on in the community, it is obvious that they are inmates that are leaving a correctional facility. And Kim thought that this was not a real respectful way to send people out in order to re-enter society. It's difficult enough after being in prison 15, 20, 30 years to re-enter society without having to do it in such an undignified way. So she pulled together a team and said there has to be a better way to do this, a way that we can do this without money. Remember that boundary condition, no new money. So the team really worked, and it came with a really creative solution. They called it the clothing closet. And what they did was they solicited donations from community around them of clothing, donated clothing, and they used it to fill up their clothing closet. And then when inmates were ready to leave the facility, when they had served their sentence, they were given the choice. It was not mandatory. They could have the gray sweats if they wanted, or they could go through the clothing closet, pick out something that they liked, that fit, and re-enter society wearing something a little bit less degrading than the gray sweats. It was an instant success. The people leaving the institution loved it. And it was so successful that other correctional facilities, wardens started calling Kim, how did you do this? We want to do the same thing in our facilities. And all the clothing closets just popped up all over the states in correctional facilities. It was really a cool program. So after all of the excitement initially, settled down, at the end of the fiscal year, Kim and her CFO at the prison were discussing the budget, and they found they had saved $30,000 that year because they had not had to purchase as many gray sweats that they had in the past. Wow. So she did not start out trying to save money. She simply tried to figure out how to make it easier for people who had completed their sentences to re-enter society with dignity and respect. And in doing that, she found ways to do things better, faster, and cheaper. And that's the heart of Rapid Results. And that's what I want to offer you, is what Rapid Results is really all about. And the last thing I'll leave you with is this idea of lean and operational excellence and what our goal really is. We have been told for many decades that lean operational excellence is about constantly seeking perfection. Well, folks, we're almost there. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but we have neural networks, we have artificial intelligence, we have bots, we have automation. The Six Sigma, which was 3.4 million defects per 1 million opportunity, that was an extremely ambitious goal at one time, and companies are now exceeding that. And so what I'd say to you is the efficiency, it's going to take care of itself. The perfection, we're going to get there with these tools. So what did that leave us as operational excellence professionals? Well, I think there's really an important way for us to provide value. And I think it's about us looking at our role and our goals a little bit different. So in the days ahead, in the weeks ahead, in the years ahead, maybe operational excellence needs to be a little bit less, from our perspective, about seeking perfection and more about discovering our humanity together. Food for thought. I'd like you to think on that. And with that, I think we have some time for questions. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
John, thanks. That's terrific. Folks, do remember to unmute if you have questions for John. If you don't have the ability to unmute, I know some computers give problems sometimes. Put something into the chat pane and we'll read it out. I do see from Patrick saying great message. Patrick from Utah, thank you so much. Same thing from Laura Meyer, what a powerful message. And Caitlin from Texas is saying the same thing. Peter from Canada is saying the same thing. Nigel, most inspiring. John, they're taking the words right out of my mouth. Terrific stuff. Terrific stuff. Excellent message from your from the next person up, Mohammed from Saskatchewan. Any questions or thoughts for John? Anybody want to unmute?
Did have a quick question.
Go for it.
So I'm just wondering about the change management aspect of what you did. So I'm assuming that within each of these departments within the Illinois state government, there were some form of continuous improvement going on before your rapid results group was put in place. So how did you go about that change management process of applying the methodology that you came up with and standardizing it across the state government?
That's a great question. And in response, I would say that we stumbled early on. What our philosophy was that if we have the people doing the work, creating the solution, we have instant buy-in. So there's no need for change management, right? Because these are their ideas. And so we can get it incorporated that way. And we concentrated really hard on really maximizing, basically what we do with Kaizen. So maximizing our facilitation skills in terms of doing these Kaizens will get people buy-in. Once they're bought in, piece of cake, right? Well, no, because we forgot about the frozen middle. We forgot about middle management. And we had some projects where we had a team that was really excited about the solution, but we had middle management saying, no, we're not going to do that. I don't want to do this lean stuff. And so we messed up. We had to take a step back. And in response, what we did was we trained what we call rapid result champions in these agencies. We got influential leaders, not necessarily the top leaders, but people in upper to middle management, people who were influential in the organization. We trained them on this stuff, and we trained them to help their fellow middle managers embrace and understand this stuff. So they are kind of our ambassadors in these agencies. And those 4 people you saw there at the Department of Corrections, they are a prime example of that. We had a lot of wardens that resisted a lot of what we did. And those 4 people were able to work with those people to help them through that process. So again, it goes back to people, engaging with the people, listening, empathizing, and helping them move to the next level. So that's how we did it. Great question.
Just one follow-up, if I could.
Sure.
Did you have a mandate from the governor or the leadership of the state government, or was it all influence-based, what you did?
We did not have a mandate. We talked about doing that, and we had a deputy governor who was very savvy about this stuff. And he said, I want it to be organic, because if we have a mandate, then as soon as that mandate's over, it won't stick around. So he wanted it to be organic. We did have involvement from the governor's office in those early days, and it did help. It did help inject some accountability. And in 2018, that administration lost the election. A new administration came in 2019 from the opposite party. And I really wondered, I wondered if they were going to axe the program, if they would be supportive. And so I prepared my resume. I prepared a plan to move people who worked for me, who decided to follow me on this lean rainbow, move them to other parts of the organization. And I had my meeting with the incoming administration, and they could not have been more excited to be part of this. And so over the course of the last 2 years, we've been trying to figure out how to work together to get them engaged at the governor's office, but continue to do it a way that is organic. I will say that we are continuing to learn how to do this. We've had some successes in agencies such as the Department of Corrections. We've had some failures in agencies with different cultures. So we're still trying to figure this out. But right now, it is more of a bottom-up type of approach. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much.
And we probably have time for just one more question. Some really great comments in the chat pane. I encourage you to look at those, folks. Beth, great stuff on change management. A question from David at the Illinois DOT. When you say train middle management, what kind of training did you focus on, John?
We developed a one-day training for middle management called our Rapid Results Leadership class. And the idea behind it is to identify, we created a checklist, a high-level checklist of things that you need to do in order to support rapid results programs. And we train people on how to do this stuff. So it's almost like the bare minimum. If you can complete these, you can support a rapid results program. We had that ready to go, and we're really excited about getting that out. We had conducted a couple pilots, hugely successful, and then this little thing called COVID-19 popped up and really kind of dashed our plans. So we then spent the next few months trying to figure out how to transition to a virtual format. We have a class right now that satisfies some of those criteria, and we're still experimenting to figure out how to move to that virtual world. I'm really curious to see what the rest of this year looks like, if we can move to some sort of hybrid type of approach, but that's what we're doing right now.
John, thanks. We're going to move on to the province of Saskatchewan. David did want to know if things are available to share like that training. If they are, send them on and we'll send them across the community here using our TLF Lean Interchange website. Thanks again, John. We have a terrific trio of presentations. You just heard from John here. We're actually going to go now to the province of Saskatchewan. And Mohammed Tubson, who's the manager of GIS services for the Saskatchewan Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure, is going to be presenting some wonderful stuff that they're doing there in the province.
So we're talking a lot about the middle manager. I am the one of the middle manager in my ministry, got the lean training. So that's this example, which I'm going to show you today. It's kind of the implementation of the lean initiative, which we started in the ministry like a little while ago. So I am Mohammed Tubson, manager GIS services, working with the information management branch of the Saskatchewan Ministry of Highways, responsible for all the information management, especially geospatial information management. So I'm going to share some of one of my success stories where we use the lean initiative to implement some value stream mapping and all lean component and to get the result. Just the introduction of the Ministry of Highways as other DOTs, what we're trying to do is try to provide a safe, reliable transportation system that supports Saskatchewan's growth agenda and quality of life. We strive to deliver innovative, sustainable infrastructure to serve the needs of the people of Saskatchewan. So this is basically the whole kind of, you can say that John used the term of heart. This is kind of the heart. This is very detailed strategic framework for the ministry. That's what we do, have our goals, our the vision. The vision is transportation, connecting Saskatchewan to the world. Mission, as I explained, so have strategic priorities and our values, same thing, respect, integrity, one team approach, serving citizens and excellence and innovation. So I'm not going to go into the detail because our business improvement units work hard with the policy and other department to come up with this one, this strategic framework. This is exactly what we do. All our project, all our branches, all our units, what we do in the ministry directly link with all these strategic priorities. And this was linked with the Saskatchewan Growth Plan. Ministry of Highways is, it's maybe surprising for some of you if I say that Saskatchewan's road network is the largest in Canada on per capita basis. Ministry of Highways is responsible to maintain 26,426 kilometer of highways, but in the information management branch, we are responsible to take care of the information of 250,000 kilometer of a road surface in Saskatchewan. We have 12 ferries, 17 northern airport, 785 bridges, 400 large culvert, and more than 70,000 small culverts. And we have a little more than 1,500 bridges, rural municipality bridges with ministry take cares. Key challenges, I know all of the ministries or transportation agencies or DOTs and similar to Ministry of Highways, manage and maintain a broad spectrum of information about provincial roadway. The information is distributed throughout the ministry in multiple disparate systems. Ministry's existing data sits in the multiple data models. That's why also when we're talking to the different provinces in Canada, and also I got a chance to talk to a few in US. So this is, looks like is the problem. So what we're trying to do is information management team is working hard to narrowing the gap between the data set and its uses, as well as identifying the missing links for data integration. That will be kind of the ongoing process. But the application which I'm going to present today, we did some data integration to achieve this goal. That's exactly show the power of the lean, how we eliminate some of the waste, some of the redundant processes, how we did the value stream mapping to achieve these goals. Key challenges, some of the obstacles, some of the hurdles we have. Data inconsistencies, that's I just talked about. Data strategy, Ministry didn't have the data strategy, data governance, standards management. We're working on it. Still, it's under process because it's a little bit longer way to go. And limited funding, IT dependency, high expectation from the people. IT dependency mean, yes, all this, these days, there's almost everything depends on the IT when you're delivering the information, but the cost of IT is kind of increasing, and we have centralized IT. There's a process to go through the centralized IT. So this is what we thought is kind of another obstacle. And when have you seen these kind of hurdles, you can easily relate back to the lean what John was presenting, how we're going to handle this, how we can successfully can go through this challenge and and have some kind of successful system developed. There's, as you know, if there is a challenge, it's always there is an opportunity. So it always comes with logging in. It comes with the opportunity. So we see this is an opportunity to the ministry, and we thought, okay, this is the time to rise the career and become even better than it is today. So this opportunity we use because the transportation system, what we thought is the transport system is the core element to the success of the government Saskatchewan plan. We have the opportunity to embrace this challenge and to develop the integrated system, integrated database that talk to each other, so we can eliminate some of the process, some of the redundant process, and we can bring some efficiency in those processes. And then there was a lot of work we have done, and we come up this solution. This is the solution. This is, we thought, that's how we're going to proceed to develop this application, how we're going to kind of handle this challenge. One is the collaboration. That's a one team. That's our core value, one team. Without the collaboration, I would say it's not possible when you work on the IT project, especially data integrations or value stream mapping, or kind of eliminating some of process, bringing new process in. You need the collaboration. You need the buy-in from the people. And the continuous improvement. It's not a one-time deal. You just do it and you thought it's done. No, you have to improve it continuously. We're identifying our processes, any problems we're identifying, we are reviewing it, we are planning for the improvement, and we are executing some of those processes and see if this giving us some value. Innovation, yeah, we are also implementing some of the technologies just to eliminate some of the processes and some of the kind of the middle processes, which maybe we can achieve with some innovations. If we can bring some of the technology, we can make process automate. So this is my application. This is the application we implement some of the lean processes. Like the application is called integration and automation of routing and permitting of oversized overweight vehicles that support trade and investment and enhance transportation safety. What was the business problem? Business problem was rapid growth in the trucking permit, high demand because Saskatchewan economy is based on agriculture, mining, so bigger industries always required big equipment, all kind of over-dimensional trucks on the roads. Our partner organization actually issued a permit. We are kind of the owners of the assets, and they use our transportation assets. So they are the one who issue the permit, but we provide all the information to them. So Saskatchewan issues more than 150,000 oversized overweight, over-dimensional permits. in the province. So the permit of the oversized overhead truck are growing, and industry is requiring more and more. Inefficiencies in the SGI permitting system. SGI of Saskatchewan Government Insurance, that's responsible for issuing the permit. Inefficiency. What the inefficiencies were? It's just the trucker has to call into the office. There's a permit technician sitting in the office, and truck person or trucking industry has to wait maybe 10 minutes to 2 hours just to get on the phone. So then he provide all the truck information that enter into the system, and then the trucking permit technician look at the map mounted on the wall and define the route. Okay, this is the route you're going to take. This is your origin to destination, and just give a truck driver a number. Okay, this is your permanent number. If somebody stop you on the way, you just give them a number. Now here comes our commercial vehicle enforcement people. They stop a truck and then see, okay, you have a permission to drive on this route with the heavy load, and they just give the number. Then our commercial vehicle people, they have to call back to SGI to get the confirmation if this number is right, and all other dimensions and all other everything, whatever the load on the truck is correct. So these are the efficiencies. The permits usually take from 2 hours to 2 months. It depends on the permit, because some of the permit has to go to our bridge branch. So the bridge engineers actually evaluate the permit and send back to SGI, and then the SGI sent to the trucking company or the truck driver. So this is the process. You can see the inefficiency, and you can easily relate back what John was talking about when you do the process mapping. What are the process we have to eliminate? There's a lot of manual calculations from one point to another point. How many kilometers, different types of road, different charges. So all these done on the calculator. So, and the third one is industry pressure. Industry was saying, okay, why we need to wait 2 hours? Why we need to wait 2 months, weeks and months to get the permit? So here comes what we did. What we did is we identify which working process are valuable, which we want to stick with, and what are the process those are inefficient. So that's how we started doing the value stream mapping, and we started finding out some of the process we can eliminate, then we can minimize some of the waste, and we can still get the permit in efficient manners. So then the idea came in, okay, why not we can develop an automated system? So what the goals we want to achieve from the automated routing system? Develop an automated routing system. So improve the business process, improve the safety. Improve the safety mean every year before this application, every year in Saskatchewan, we have few bridge hits. And the engineers, definitely some of the engineers on the call, they know that when there's a bridge hit, it starts from the work minimum start from the millions dollars, right? So that's the costly repair on the bridges. So what the partner organizations want to achieve, what their interest, what their need for SGI, our permitting issuing company, they want the innovative web-based routing and permitting system, automated selection of optimum route for the standards. So what they want is the system is available for 24/7 for the trucking industry. Right now, it's just on the business days from 8 to 10. It's also available on Saturday, not Sunday, but this innovative web map based routing, they want it available for 24/7. And then they want to eliminate that the trucker has to call to the permit technician. They just want them, the truck company or the trucker, just go on the website and issue the permit. So there is a process elimination. No need to call to the permit anymore after the development of this application. So, and the next one is automated selection of the optimum route. Now the permit technician doesn't need to look at the wall on the paper map and design select the route for the over-dimensional truck. Automated workflow, way to get that information. No need to send that send the trucking permit to the highway bridge branch to get it approved, because everything system is approving everything. So improve the customer service. Customer service being improved because now they can issue the permit within 10 minutes. That's even it's take like 2 hours to 2 months before. Now they can issue within 10 minutes because they have to fill in all the truck related information. Trucking industry is happy, and that's why they're happy. They wanted to quick turnaround. They want to issue their permit by themselves anytime, and they want to modify their own route. They want to design it if they need. They want to modify it, and they want to reduce the trip idle time. What is the interest for the ministry? Ministry want to provide the better services to the trucking industry, and also want to protect provincial infrastructure. And also improve the safety of the motorist. The project approach was that's an integrated system. We developed an integrated system. Integrated system has the 4 components: system manager, permit manager, route planner, and a section manager. And the 5th one we integrated is the enterprise database. That's where we did most of the value stream mapping, where to bring the data. The data was in the PDF paper format. Data was in Excel spreadsheet. Data was in Access, Excel, or in SQL servers, Oracles, whatever you name, whatever the databases are, wherever the data can be stored, it was stored in that format. So we eliminate all those kind of data entry points. Now we're entering the data into the database. So this is the iHall, that's what we call the system is iHall. This is the interface. I'm not going into the technical detail. You can see there's some, all the parties sitting at the different levels, and there's a system is running, and the process are already integrated, and data entry people are entering the data, issuers issuing their permit for their needs. System manager basically integrate all these components in the system, and also control the security, access controls. There's the next one is the permit manager. Permit manager looks like this. So when we started talking to SGI, okay, we're going to develop this system. Actually, SGI came on board, but people think that is a change. It's not easy to handle the change. Some people get scared. Maybe they're thinking if they implemented the automated system, some people are going to lose the job. This application that the permit manager was developed in 2007 by SGI, we didn't make much changes in this one. What this application does is capture all the truck related information like Excel and the weight, commodity, all those kind of information. Only change we made here is we add the email address. If you see here in the email address, so once the permit is complete, so the trucker can get a documentary proof as a PDF form, and we can system easily email to the trucker or truck company. So they have some kind of evidence of the paperwork. When our CEVE people, commercial vehicle enforcement people, they stop, then they can show those paper. So what we did is, as I said, we didn't make much changes here. We just did the one existing system we integrated with the old system. That's kind of gave them a little confidence to the people that the system is staying the same, but maybe it's going to facilitate us when they generate the route. So next one is the route planner. That's automated route. All these components are linked with each other. So once the trucker entered the information in the permit manager, the route planner kick in, and it's automatically, because origin and destination has already been entered, or they can pick the origin and destination on the map, and system generate the automated safe route for the heavy hauls. So that's kind of the view of the route planner. A restriction manager is the next one. So as I said, we also eliminate the process of going to the bridge branch. There's a lot of bridge data, overhead signs, information is coming from the different database feeding into the system, and there's some live restrictions coming. If the road is closed for next 2 hours, the permit is already issued. Our road is closed for, let's say, the June 15th. Somebody wants to drive on June 15th, and today is May 13, the permit is already issued. System automatically generate the email and send it to trucker and say, okay, this road is going to close on June 15. You may create a new alternative route or maybe contact to the SGI. So there is some live restriction going into the system that immediately click into the route planner. So it's enterprise databases. What is that? Routable network. So we heard the stories from the U.S. Different states are using Google Map as their routing system. They run their route on the Google Map, TomTom, Hare, all those kind of maps. But Ministry of Highways in Saskatchewan, we have our own road network. We run the routes on our own network. We feed the information from our own base map. We're on permanent temporary restrictions going into the database, and we have winter weights and spring bands all into the database. Some of the project benefits what we got from this project after implementing all the lean processes. The SGI, SGI has the automated process, faster issuing time, better customer service. Ministry of Highway has improved the data quality and improved the processes. Trucking industry, faster turnaround time. They can issue their permit anytime they want. And they get the PDF permit as a copy. And easier process, they don't need to wait on the phone call. Long-term benefit, facilitate economic activities. Actually, they're delivering their product on time, increasing permit compliance on the road. So our CVE people has the access to this system as well. They can easily see, they don't need to call back to the organization to ask for these dimension on the truck. And we're protecting the provincial highway assets. So this is a big success for us since the system is launched since 2016. June 2016, we launched this system. There was even not single bridge accident was reported due to this application. So system, this is a big success for us. So we are protecting the infrastructure and also the motoring public. Next step, we're envisioning to integrate the municipality into the system. SGI, that's kind of needs some legislation changes, because SGI can only issue the permit on the provincial highway, not in the municipalities. We're trying to bring the municipality on board. Interprovincial permitting system, that's what we're kind of envisioning. If we can explore opportunity to have some one-stop shop to issue the permit for all 3 provinces or whoever want to come on board. So this is our kind of vision after, this is a success story. Now we are kind of pushing hard and presenting to our executives, this is our success. That's how we can eliminate some of the process. Why not we do this? We can bring all the data set. There were a lot of applications. We're doing some data capturing. We are supporting 911. We can provide the dashboard. We already can implement some of the workflow, and we providing 511 service. That's what we call highway hotline. So we can integrate all this system, so eliminate some of the processes, and one process is working for us. Everything will work for us if we can integrate all these systems. These are some of acknowledgement. We use Hexagon technology to implement this IHAL, and we work with the SGI, and I am from the Ministry of Highways. So any questions?
Mohammed, thank you. That's terrific. I love that. Love the presentation. Oversized overweight permit team that you had improving is wonderful. It did remind me of a quote, and I put that in the text, the chat pane. Anybody that wants to ask some questions, go ahead and unmute. If you can't unmute because your microphone's not working, please put them in the text, the chat pane, and Victoria or I will read them out. Anybody with a question, thought, comment?
Hello.
Hi, we can just barely hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah, I'll try to speak up. Using new headphones. I don't know whether they're going to work. Let's try that. Okay. David Geschwin from the Vermont Agency of Transportation. One of my colleagues has joined too, and we've been examining this for quite a while, the oversize overweight issue. Of course, that first load you showed in the slide is as large as the state of Vermont, so our problems are a little smaller. But we were wondering about this is probably more specific to the issue of implementing a system, developing a system yourself versus buying an off-the-shelf. It's not strictly a lean question, but we did look at the off-the-shelf systems, and we were wondering why, for what reasons you chose to go with to do the development yourself as opposed to go with obviously either ProMiles or Bentley Superload.
Actually, we use the out-of-box solution from Hexagon Geospatial.
Oh, Hexagon. I see. Okay.
Yeah. That's
okay.
on the last slide. Hexagon Geospatial. That is the tool. That's the software we use. But whatever the tool, whatever the out-of-the-box solution you select, it's not going to work until you implement some of I would say the lean processes. What I'm saying that if your data is not organized, it's not standardized, it's not available to feed into the system. So it's even the system cannot do anything itself. So it needs the information. You have to have the information ready to feed into the system. So that is the major thing we have to do. You select ProMiles, you select Hexagon, or any other system, it's going to work if your data is standardized, if your data is available in a right standardized form.
Yes, thank you, Mohammed. I think that absolutely agree. My colleague and I spent a great deal of time reviewing our systems, and to some extent, well, you know, things get driven by many different things. But yes, you're right. Yeah. We talked to other users of ProMiles and Superload, and they all said the same thing, right? You can't just take your old forms and use them. But okay, great. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. That's really great. And maybe we'll send you a note, maybe offline. We'll contact you. We'd love to just compare notes at some point. Thank you.
Sure. And one thing that just want to add, we were in the discussion when we were developing state of Oklahoma, and they were using Google Map, and we heard their story. Nothing against the Google Map. It's a very good product. We heard stories and all those things. And then we thought, okay, why not we can use our own road network? We are using our own developed road network, our GIS unit, which I manage. So we developed that road network. Now, what is the benefit of developing our own road network? We have all the information, because I don't think the third party has the information of the bridges or all the live restrictions. If like RCMP closed one of the road, I don't know if the Google can get that information quicker than highways. So that's why we want to go with our own kind of road network, our own restriction management system. Any other questions?
Actually, I'll say, Mohammed, it's actually interesting that you say that for other people. We have a very, in my own hometown here in Vermont, we have a very famous road that closes every winter. And for once the first snow comes, essentially almost every time. And for a number of years, there was an attempt to get Google Maps to make that notation on Google Maps, and for whatever reason they said they wouldn't be able to do it. So we're still stuck with putting signs on the road to tell trucks that the road is closed. But anyways, yes. But we also have our own GIS unit, obviously, and we were. When we started talking to vendors, we also wanted to try to use our own GIS unit because, like you, I'm sure they're very talented, and we thought that we could use our own mapping. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's great. Maybe time for one more question. And of course, we'll have questions in the open forum after a presentation from Minnesota or Michigan DOT also. Time for one more question right now for Mohammed.
We got one in the chat, Gary. Let me go ahead and read that from Peter. he said, can you talk a bit about how you're interacting with your customers?
You mean, I'm trying to fully understand the question. So you mean how the customers are issuing the permit right now?
From Pete, and Peter, if you want to unmute, I think he's talking about the truckers, how you interacted with them. Perhaps Peter's getting at when you developed the system itself. Clearly, the system, the truckers are always doing that. But when you developed the system, how did you actually interact with those trucking customers?
Oh, that's a very good question. That was very important to understand the needs of the trucking industry. We have to talk to our customers. The farmers are also, it's not only the trucking industry, farmers are also the big community in Saskatchewan, also interact. We have a separate working group that's worked with the customers. They have a system in place where they get the information. They had a few meetings with our customers to get their requirement. And there is a process now, I think our partner organization, because they are the one who's hosting that whole system. They have the system in place where they interact with the system online. They get their feedback when they issue the permit, and also the public as well. As I said, we also present some of the statistics which we get from last 4 or 5 years. As I said, there was not even a single bridge accident being reported, and we give it to the trucking industry. So we get the feedback from the trucking industry that this system is working pretty good. How we interacting? There is a mechanism that our partner organization has set up. So they are interacting with with our customers.
All right, that's great, Mohammed. Thanks. And Mohammed's going to stick around for open forum. We have one more session out of our trio of wonderful presenters. So pleased to have Laura Bensinger from the Michigan Department of Transportation, who's going to be presenting. Laura is going to talk about people. I noticed, Laura, on your LinkedIn profile that you're Adopt-A Highway team lead, which is terrific. And that you're certified in change management, and change management is near and dear to my heart. I think an important co-equal to process improvement. The two work together. Laura, take it away.
So we're going to take a little bit of a different turn here. We definitely work in transportation. I'm coming to you from Michigan DOT, but we want to talk to you today a little bit about the people side of transportation. So hi, everybody. My name is Laura Bensinger. I am a senior performance analyst at the Michigan Department of Transportation. And today we're going to talk to you about how we work in lean government work, and also how we make people first at MDOT. I work in the organizational development unit within the Michigan Department of Transportation. Previously, we had a pretty heavy focus on lean process improvement, and we still do lean process improvement within our work area, but we have transitioned a little bit over to more of a people first approach. We found that lean process improvement does in fact save time and money for our customers, which are mostly internal, but we also work with industry partners and things of that nature. But we were finding that there was definitely an area of opportunity to focus in on people solutions as well as process solutions. We found that the two were not mutually exclusive. You can fix the process, but if the people are still kind of broken, then we are still up against challenges that we had not addressed. So that's where we're going to head into today. All right, so we are within, this is a mouthful, we work in the organizational development area, but our unit in particular, who works on lean process improvements and some of those types of solutions, are known as OEU, or the Organizational Effectiveness Unit. So if you hear me refer to OEU, that's what I'm talking about. We noticed that there was
some comments, those plans updated.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh gosh. Folks, do remember to mute. We'll have plenty of time for asking questions during the presentation. Thanks, Laura. Please proceed.
No problem. Just wanted to make sure. All right. So again, if you hear me refer to OEU, I'm referring to our Organizational Effectiveness Unit. We did realize over some implementation that there were some areas of opportunity with our people. And around the same time, our Office of Organizational Development worked with our executive leadership, and we hired a consultant to come in and kind of help us fix some of the challenges that we were facing as a department. Some of those challenges are retiring or disembarking workforce, as an example. We realized there was a new need within state government, especially at Michigan DOT, for modern recruitment and employee growth and support. With pensions ending over the last several years, we have seen an increase for the need for additional recruitment outside of what we were doing prior, and some other succession planning items that we were going to be needing. So with that consultant, we were able to develop a workforce succession and planning system. And this really aligned with a lot of the pieces that our organizational effectiveness unit was seeing within our implementation teams and within our projects. Previously, our office was the performance excellence area, and our OEU team was known as ESIP, or Effective Solutions for Improved Performance. Back in 2019, we were really focused in on offering, again, lean process improvements, strategic planning, team building sessions, and we followed our Office of Continuous Improvements methodology for those lean process improvements, while under that PES name, that was our main operations. As we started navigating through some of these lean process improvement implementation teams, or the implementation of the various projects we were working on, we were beginning to observe patterns with disengaged sponsors, as well as frustrated or disengaged participants. Our people were desiring more, and staff not being bought into some of the proposed changes that might have come out at the end of those process improvements or various services was causing some additional areas of opportunity, we'll say, when it came to actually having successful implementation. So we noticed that there was an opportunity to do better and connect with our people to address more than just those process issues. Again, we realized people and process are not mutually exclusive. They must be in alignment for our real and effective change to occur and our implementation to be successful. Welcome to our house. So we like to call it the MDOT house. That is our workforce and succession planning system. Again, this is what we came together with the consultant to develop as a tool, and really a graphic that we could use to speak the same language with our department. Our office that was performance excellence transitioned into the organizational development office, which was a little bit clearer of a title and a little bit more intent for better purpose within our area. And our unit became the organizational effectiveness unit within organizational development. So we went through a little bit of a change. This is the conceptual image of our workforce and succession planning system, known as the MDOT house. You may see this in other presentations if you come across anything with MDOT, because this is being widely used across our department. We use this graphic and these terms to refer to the standards of which we expect our culture to operate. So walking you through each of these pillars, the first one is LSE, or Leadership Standards of Excellence. These standards, which we'll go into in a little bit more detail on the next slide, are put in place for our leaders to exhibit how we expect, again, our culture to operate. RAM, or the Role Assessment Model, that second pillar in, is really put in place for the criticality and strategicness of our positions, so we can help identify further recruitment needs or areas that we really need to hone in on in terms of some of these other pillars as well. The third pillar is the talent review process. This process really is about intentional conversations about both individual and team performance to identify the talent that currently exists within MDOT and how we grow that talent. KMS, or the Knowledge Management System, is put into practice to create methods to retain knowledge and transfer knowledge to our employees. As again, we are continuing to see our retiring and disembarking workforce. This is becoming more and more important. The last pillar, or the employee life cycle, is really about being cognizant of the time that employees spend with our organization and what their needs and contributions are to our department. On this next slide, you can see our leadership standards of excellence bubbles, as we like to refer to them. They are put in place for a really cumulative outlook as to, again, how we expect our leaders, which can be at all levels of the department, to operate. They are visionary, character and integrity, ensuring positive outcomes, professional excellence, and lastly, people first. Standards gave our area, or OEU, more basis that people are our greatest asset. So what does people first mean? It's getting to know and understand your staff, customers, and stakeholders, setting clear expectations and giving timely feedback, and lastly, recognizing, appreciating, and rewarding achievement. We learned from this kind of observation pattern that we needed to customize more of the projects that we were doing. We knew we needed to make changes so that we could better support our people and create that people first culture to help transition the department. A specialist and myself both became certified in change management and have been able to kind of customize some of those practices, such as stakeholder analysis, into some of the projects that we were previously doing solely as LPI, and make some changes that way. We did some implementation changes. We gave our staff time for metrics or taking measurements or doing research in between the time that we were creating recommendations and presenting those to the sponsors. We were finding that they needed to create more feasibility of the studies that they were doing prior to presenting those items, and making sure that we were giving recommendations that really had merit behind them. I worked with our chief bridge engineer to create leadership gatherings that we brought to the department to talk about topics that are really important, things like conflict, time management, prioritization, diversity and inclusion, things that really matter across the department, but maybe aren't necessarily a huge priority right now, or weren't. We expanded our service offerings with our call for projects. We do a call for projects every year where our different work areas or leaders can submit the projects they're hoping to come through for the next year. And previously we were only taking lean process improvement requests, and this year we will be expanding that. I'll talk a little more on that in a minute. We asked questions, we listened, and we increased our communication throughout the life cycle of our projects to make sure that we were including every audience that needed to hear the message. We also, again, are expanding our call for projects with more people-focused solutions this year. Things like coaching and cultural development are additional services that we will be offering to our internal staff. And then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. As with many of you, I'm sure, we were forced to move remotely pretty quickly. We had to shift all of our projects that were previously planned for in-person events to a virtual format, and utilize new software that we had not previously been familiar with to create platforms where we could have people communicating and working together in a collaborative environment to produce solutions. It was really like change management in a funnel. So our work landscape changed pretty quickly. We are now about 75% of our workforce is working remotely. We have staff that are out in the field still. They're very nervous, scared, and feeling unappreciated with this quick shift. And, you know, while we are implementing as much safety procedures and standards as possible, you know, there's still that nervousness that exists. Leadership scrambled to define rules and give support, and we worked together to figure this out as quickly as we could. However, we are now finding that we're experiencing greater gaps in our relationships and our communications. So as OEU moved forward, we had to quickly look at what we were offering and why we're offering it, and say to ourselves, is this really what we should be doing to support the department? What could we possibly change or add that would be more beneficial? So we took a look at LPIs, for example, or lean process improvements. And we know that they support efficiency, but we also know that that's something we can contract out if we need to. So we wanted to make sure that we are taking that into consideration. It creates a people-first environment by a happier overall workforce, and the public appreciates the savings of time and money with their public dollars. Change management, we are instituting some principles of change management. We know that the political landscape is changing, and we can customize aspects of change management per project. We want to make sure that we're addressing and supporting our people as we are moving forward on these various projects. Lastly, just another example, talent review. We know that we've got a depleting workforce. We're looking at both individual and team strategy, and we want to make sure that we're aligning our resources as we are growing our people in addition to that. People metrics. So we know that we need metrics. People metrics, though, are hard. And people metrics are typically qualitative and not so much quantitative. We work in a mostly engineering organization, and we want quantitative measurements. So that is an adjustment or part of change management that we are trying to move towards and kind of working through together. So we're working to define these outside of our employee engagement survey. We do an employee engagement survey every year that gives us kind of some insight to the various work areas and how people are feeling and thinking about those work areas and the overall feeling within MDOT. So we're working outside of those metrics to create some of our own to increase engagement and overcome barriers that we're finding in some of our projects. Continuous improvement. So research, trial, and error are at the heart of continuous improvement. This year, we're going to try more people services, more support, and more conversations. We feel like we've got the process pretty well nailed down and process improvements pretty well nailed down, but we know that our people need support, especially during this volatile time. We can't forget about the past and what we've done in the past. And what's gotten us to where we're at. We also know that we're facing challenges in the future as we are shifting back, hopefully, to a hybrid of both remote and in-person work. We're not there yet, but we are going to take into consideration all of these things that we've learned over time and try to utilize those concepts to the best of our ability while moving to more of a hybrid format, working on lean process improvements and all those other services that we are offering to our staff. Where to next? So where do we want to build on next? Our focus has really become on coaching. We have a big area of opportunity working with both executive all the way down through the various levels of our organization to create impact and affect change. And so we are moving to more of a coaching type of role. Going forward, we are examining some coaching certification options, but really wanting to understand how we can integrate this into the projects and the relationships that we've built throughout the department, again, to create the best MDOT. Here's my contact information if anyone is interested in reaching out with additional questions, thoughts, or concerns. I'm always happy to discuss these items with you, and I'm sure my team would be as well. But any other questions, I'll open the floor for that at this time.
Laura, thanks again. Terrific, terrific stuff you're doing on the people side there at Michigan DOT. Anybody who wants to ask questions, please unmute or put your thoughts and comments in the text pane, the chat pane. Peter Locke said, for people metrics, have you considered net promoter score or employee net promoter score, something like that?
We have not. That is a good suggestion. So that is something we will take back and look into. Thank you for that suggestion.
All right. Thanks, Laura, and thanks, Peter. We're open for questions for Laura, so go ahead and unmute. I have from Karna from the Arizona DOT. Did you create your own certification process, or what organization did you use? And I think that's the change management certification you were talking about, Laura.
Yeah, absolutely. So we looked into a few different programs before opting for the one that we ended up going with. We actually did a certification program through Michigan State University. here in Michigan offers an actual certification program in change management. And so we did go through the Michigan State University certification program.
All right, thanks. And thanks for the question, Corina. And this is where we're transitioning to open forum. So between now and I've got here in Colorado, 1024, we want to talk about what's on your mind. And that can be a lot of things. Questions that you have, concerns you've got, and by the way, successes that you have been part of. I know that in the text pane, while Mohammed was talking about permitting and permitting improvements, somebody else was texting saying, "Oh, that's exactly the situation we're facing right now, but we're just starting." So your successes on things that you've had can help somebody else who is actually experiencing your issue or concern that perhaps you had 2 months ago or 2 years ago, can help spur those kind of improvements on. And Laura, by the way, there are a couple of very nice comments in the text pane. Great presentation again. We do have folks that the presenters, but it's really just open forum. Anything you want to discuss, and then other people that want to unmute or put things in the text pane. So who's got the first question or thought for anything here in the open forum?
Hey, Gary, this is Jason Dozier.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, I just wanted to, if you'd want to post my email address, I can put anybody that's having or at the beginning stages of getting their permitting system up and running. Illinois DOT's got a phenomenal system. I don't work with it directly, but I know the gentleman that takes care of it. They did about a 5-year development cycle to get that up and running. So if they've got questions about that, I can put them in contact with the personnel at the Illinois Department of Transportation. So just an offering.
Jason, appreciate that. If you can put that in the text pane for the folks here online, and I'll bet you there's other folks that are interested. I know our freight office, which runs the oversized overweight permits, is always interested in benchmarking with folks. So put in the text pane, and I would ask our producers, Laura and Jacob, to also note that, and we'll push that out to the whole community after the session today. So thanks for that, Jason.
You're welcome.
Okay, go ahead and unmute. Somebody is talking. There you go.
It's Mohammed here. I just want to offer, because I've gone through this data integration process, data cleaning, all those things for the permitting, and also developing other application as well. So if somebody need any help on the data integration or integrating different systems, most welcome. You can contact me. So I'll be happy to help.
That's great, and I think it's the great thing about the community. Public servants helping other public servants. Really even across national borders. So appreciate that, Mohammed. Thank you. And again, we will have in the follow-up email, we'll have all the presenter contacts that you see here. We'll certainly add in Jason's contact. We do have a question coming in from the chat pane from Julie from the Arizona DOT. We're working to improve the quality of procurement contract and the quality of specifications and solicitations. Has someone done something similar? So that's really a question for anybody. Have you done something similar that Julie from the Grand Canyon State might be able to learn from or contact you about? Jason has put in the text pane his email address on that permitting. That's great, Jason. And again, I'm definitely here from Colorado DOT going to push that to our freight office for sure. Other folks may be interested. Caitlin from TxDOT, and thanks for joining. Caitlin has a question for Laura or anybody else. You mentioned a call for projects for continuous improvement projects. Can you tell me a little bit about how that works at MDOT? We have a database related to that, but a formal call is an interesting idea. So Laura, yeah, if you got something on that, and then other folks, I encourage you to open up also.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started doing a call for projects several years ago, actually before I even became a part of the team. And we've transitioned it a little bit year by year based on some of the feedback that we've gotten and additional ideas that we've kind of created each year. So what we do is we advertise throughout the department ahead of launching the call each year, but We also put some additional information out to our leadership for them to share with their teams. We often find that continuous improvement is well known in some of the same pockets, but maybe not so much throughout the entire department, or they don't know that we exist as a resource for the entire department. So we tend to see frequent kind of repeat applications for various work areas and maybe don't get some from some of the other areas. So what we do is we open a call. So for example, this year it's June 1st through the 30th, and we have applications available where we have our various work areas. Anyone in the department can submit an application. We just ask that they have someone to sponsor. So whether it's a manager or someone in a leadership or executive position to sign off on that project. And then what we will do is we will scope the project to determine, is this in fact a lean process improvement project, or maybe this is a strategic planning, maybe this is a team building, or maybe there's components of several things that need to be a part of a bigger plan. And so what this helps us to do by creating this call is, number one, it allows us to put our resources where we need them and spread things out over time versus just getting a flood of applications all at once, maybe, or requests, or, you know, it just allows us to span it out so that it works better for everyone's schedules, both those applying and ours, for, you know, attributing resources to that. But I'd be happy to share more details with you too if you're interested in seeing some of the forms and things we use. We could definitely do that as well. But this year, what we're planning to do is, previously we collected a lot of information on the application. This year, we've simplified our application quite a bit, because what we're finding is that a lot of the services that we offer, the applicants may not know which service they need. So we're just going to do that in the scoping this year, just get some of the basic information, and we'll scope every project right off the bat and determine what services they actually need for their proposed project. And then we'll schedule it out as appropriate.
So that's great. Laura did offer Caitlin to share more information offline. If you want to put that in the text pane, it will capture all the chat pane, including addresses, and we'll try to make sure that the right connections happen, or perhaps it can happen right now. And that's great. Thanks, Laura. I appreciate that. From Peter, says, thanks so much, presenters. For producers, could you link the lane interchange URL? So Jacob, if you could put that in the chat pane, that'd be great. We do have a couple of different services we're trying to provide each other through our community of practice here. One is, of course, the webinars every other month. As Peter is noting, there is a Lean Interchange website, which has all the archives for the presentations, but also just a whole lot of other information. So Peter will definitely do that. And again, Jacob or Victoria, if you can get that link, and we'll put it in the chat pane. Plus, we'll also include that in the notes for the session. And of course, the third service is something new. A couple of our intrepid interns have started developing a monthly newsletter for the transportation lean community also. And we'll be doing some polling on that to see how well that's serving you. All right, that's great. From Mike Lozier, Laura, and this is for Laura again. Does your office have a website for the stuff that you're doing there at MDOT? I presume an externally facing website.
We do not have an external website currently. That is something on our kind of list of things we'd like to get to. We have an internal site because our applications primarily come from our internal customers that we utilize, and they're able to go there to apply and seek out additional information regarding our services and things offered. I could probably do a screenshot share of some of that information if someone was interested in that type of thing. But we have not quite yet gotten an external site set up with some of our success stories and things like that, but that is something we're hoping to do in the future.
That's great. And actually, I'm going to just add on something on that. There's a pooled fund here in the United States called No Boundaries. It's focused on kind of the things we're talking about in the maintenance space. And we had a couple of folks online earlier about that, Brian Hertz, Tyler Weldon. I don't see them online right now, but there is some interesting stuff trying to be developed to gather things from multiple DOTs on a single website. And for those of you that might be interested, send me back a note, and we'll get, if your DOT is not already connected with the No Boundaries pooled fund, and we can certainly do that. Jacob, thanks for putting the Lean Interchange link in there. It's a Google site. We believe it's a public-facing Google site. Sometimes we're surprised by technology, and it's not always public-facing, but I don't think we've had issues with that. And please share the screenshot. And that's what Laura is going to be doing, and so that's great. We'll share that here. We'll try to share that in the follow-up email too. We've got a few minutes before we need to ring off at 10:45 Mountain Time here. More questions, thoughts, successes to share?
Hey, Gary, this is Tyler from the Division of Maintenance and Operations at CDOT. Thanks for the plug for No Boundaries. Yeah, we just started our third phase of our pool fund to share maintenance innovations. And thank you for the invite to hear about the lean everyday idea innovations here. And I look forward to kind of sharing some of the maintenance ideas as we get our website and our sharing platform built. So thanks for the invite, and we'll try to plug into this group as much as we can.
Tyler, that's great. The No Boundaries group is always welcome here. I think there's a lot of commonality. And again, we'll, in the follow-up email for folks, there is some public-facing material from the No Boundaries. We'll share that in the follow-up email. I'm sorry, David, you're way ahead of me. David Reeves from our CDOT Applied Research and Innovation branch just shared the link for the No Boundaries website. And Victoria and Jacob, if we can make sure that we have that in the follow-up email, that's great too. Thanks. Boy, that's the wonder of technology, right? We can share those things pretty quickly. All right, we have time for maybe a few more things to share before we do some final things and then move to our next session. Joe McHugh, just starting a project about annual bridge report process in electronic format. That's great. And Joe, perhaps when that's done, it'd be a great project to share. So I hope that we can queue up that for perhaps a future transportation lean forum session. Anybody that wants to unmute, go ahead. It's open forum right now. I'll do my best Ben Stein imitation from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Anyone? Anyone? And I suppose I'm showing my age by referencing Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of my favorite movies. All right, so maybe enough for now. Why don't we do final things to close out with? And thanks, Beth, I appreciate that. Save Ferris for sure. We have a Transportation Lean Forum newsletter. We think we've gotten that to the entire community. We've had several issues here. Again, thanks to our intrepid intern team, Jacob, Victoria, and Kelly, for putting that together. Victoria is the editor-in-chief on that. By the way, Kelly has been our editor-in-chief. This will be actually her last Transportation Lean Forum session. Kelly is going to be rolling off as an intern. I do want to mention that Kelly has a wonderful, wonderful future. She has been accepted into a wonderful master's program at the prestigious London School of Economics and Political Science. Congratulations, Kelly. And you are always welcome in your post-internship life to join us back on Transportation Lean Forum. And thank you for everything you've done for Transportation Lean Forum, including the newsletter. So if you do have materials, we would love to include those between sessions. And again, we'll have a survey after a while to see how well this is serving the community and to see if there's other things that you want to suggest for that. You've heard change management come up a couple times today. And one of my colleagues, Michelle Malloy, as well as a few other folks who are online, formed a separate community of practice slightly larger than transportation agencies, really for any public agency. It's called the Public Sector Change Practitioners Group, PSCP for short. They have wonderful every other month webinars. Also, the next webinar is Thursday, June 24th. It's at 10 a.m. Actually, that should be Mountain Daylight Time here in Colorado. And it's 1600 hours universal time. There's a link there. The QR code will take you to their webpage, and you'll hear wonderful things about change management during that session. So thanks, PSCP friends. And our next session, the webinar here, and we will have newsletters between times, and I encourage you to go to the website between times also. It is going to be Tuesday, July 12th. Our customary time of 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. In the summer, that translates out to 1500 Greenwich Mean Time. And by the way, thanks to everybody who's congratulating Kelly. We're going to miss her a lot, and we know that she's going to be one of the folks changing the world out there in London. Our next session is on the 12th. It actually will be our 9th anniversary. Our 9th anniversary for the Transportation Lean Forum actually comes up a little bit earlier. It's right in the middle of June. In June of 2012, there were 3 transportation agencies that got onto an old-fashioned telephone call. I remember having a star phone in the middle of my table. We had this wonderful session between CDOT and the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Maine Department of Transportation. We had such a great time that we started inviting other DOTs. It grew to 6 the next time we met. It was 10 the next time after that, and you can see the results 9 years later. So if you want to be a presenter for that anniversary session, please let me know. You see my email address, and you do occasionally get emails from me. Just respond to one of those. We do have a couple of things coming in from the pane. Thanks, all of that. You see from Michelle, the click me on the public sector change practitioners. Thanks, Michelle, for leading that group. And thank you, everybody, for participating today, particularly our presenters, Mohammed, and Laura and John. It's the kind of thing that keeps the community strong and growing. We're here to support each other as lean and continuous improvement practitioners and transportation agencies. We'll be getting a follow-up session, a follow-up email out with some of the links that we talked about and all the other materials from today's session that might be of interest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go ahead and ring out for now.